Let me call roll here, and calling first, if you'll unmute, announce your appearance, Precious Gatson.
Here.
All right, thank you. Next, Mr. Darren Gatson.
Here.
All right, thank you. And Melissa Jones.
Your Honor, Ms. Jones is running just a few minutes late. This is Joe Glenn Kayla, for the record, present on her behalf. She's running just a few minutes late. Hopefully she'll be here by the time you get finished call and roll. All
right, and she'll be joining you there in the same room with you?
Yes, sir. She'll be joining me.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. So, all right, so Mr. Burt, for the network, are you ready, Mr. Burt?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Ogbidi, are you ready, sir, for the parents?
Yes, Your Honor. Daniel Ogbidi for Precious and Darren Garcia. We are ready.
All right, thank you. And I will skip over Mr. Kayla for now and go to Mr. Crocker. Are you ready, Mr. Crocker?
Ready, and I represent EG, GG, DG, and MG minor children.
Okay, very good. And the MG would be the younger of the two MGs. And thank you, Mr. Crocker, for remembering to use initials only. We are, as I'm sure you know, live streaming on YouTube in order to maintain public access and open courts. So thank you for that. All right, now to Ms. Hollier. Ms. Hollier, are you ready?
Ready, Your Honor.
Right, thank you. And Ms. Bythewood, are you ready?
Yes, representing the older MG, and thank you for allowing me to be a few minutes late, even though I didn't have to be.
All right, well, thank you. All right, is it fair to say, and still the case, that the ones opposing this motion hearing would be the parents? Is that right, Mr. Ogbidi?
Not, I'm sorry, Your Honor, just slightly, if I can clarify. So
sure, please.
They are not opposing a placement with all of them with someone else, but they are opposing placing them with the Jones, everybody with the Jones. So that's kind of it. I mean, they are okay placement with someone else, but not with the Jones.
Okay. Parents want the children placed together ideally, but none with the Jones.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Is that fair to say? All right, thank you. All right, any other announcements further or anything akin to any opening statements? If there is a request for those, the court would receive those now.
Your Honor, whenever the court is ready, I would like to make a brief opening. Maybe that will help everybody knows where we are headed.
All right, very good. Let me bring Ms. Mitchell, the CASA supervisor, in. Mr. Kayla, are you okay with us proceeding to opening statements?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Ogbidi, you may proceed, sir.
All right. Thank you, and I'm going to try to be brief. I have spoken extensively with my client. They are in agreement that the children be placed together in anywhere the courts deem suitable, but there is ongoing concern that they have that each time that the children on weekends visit the Jones, that is usually either some injury or some unexplained like marks or bites with the children. So they believe placing them, everybody together with the Jones, would actually constitute endangerment of all of them. They do have Amy Hilson that they believe is available and willing and able and qualified to be a placement for all three children. Whether or not the court is willing to entertain that person today is a different issue, but I just hope that the court listens to them, to their concern, and maybe with the help of the items for the children, they can, the court can be led to a proper placement. But my client they don't believe that the Jones are suitable. Thank you.
All right, that name again, Mr. Ogbadi?
Yeah, Amy. I believe Amy is AMY, and then the last name is, I think they say Hyson, but it's HISON.
HISON.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you aware whether that name has been given to the department?
So since I just came on the case and I was discussing this with mom, my client mom today, and she said the name was brought up, but what happens to it, she doesn't know during the initial placement discussion.
Okay, and the relationship to the children?
I believe she said aunts, so I don't know whether that's aunt or the children's aunt, but
okay.
Yeah, that I don't know, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crocker.
Your Honor, in speaking with counsel for the parents, it is my understanding that what he has elucidated the court on as far as the request for placement is in fact going to be the topic of discussion today. I've also spoke with Jones's counsel, and I believe they're adamantly opposed to that. I have some questions of each party, and I think the court will be able to make a determination upon placement of all the children at the conclusion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker. Ms. Hollier, and okay, I see Ms. Jones here. So Ms. Hollier, Ms. Bythewood, and then Mr. Kayla. And Mr.
Sorry. So, Your Honor, I guess I was a little unclear when you reset this. This was a placement hearing considering moving the youngest four. That I was not put on notice that my client was part of that placement discussion. I absolutely believe that my client is where she needs to be, and it would not be in her best interest to move her whatsoever. And that's my position today.
All right, and so you would be right, and Ms. Bythewood as well, if she says as much. It is not moving, of course, barring an emergency or barring some evidence that would militate in favor of it. Moving the oldest MG and AG is not before the court. And I believe Mr. Ogbadi acknowledged as much, but the parents are, however, re-urging this name for consideration of placement, possibly of most or all of the children. So to that extent, you're correct. And so Ms. Bythewood, and then Mr. Kayla, and then Mr. Burt.
That was my concern as well, whether or not my client, who is adamant about being where she wants to be, is moved. I know that that's been a position of the parents since the beginning, and she is in favor of her siblings being placed with her.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bythewood. Now, Mr. Kayla, and then Mr. Burt.
Thank you, Your Honor. We feel like it would be in the best interest of these children to be all placed together. These kids have been together their whole lives, and the separation has not really worked out, in our opinion, to be in their best interest, based on how upset they get when they have to go back to the Gadsden's home after visiting with the Joneses. The Joneses are ready, willing, and able to accommodate the other four children, and we think that that would be in their best interest for them all to be under one roof, and that roof being the Joneses.
All right, Mr. Kayla, thank you. Mr. Burt?
Yes, Your Honor. Not having spoke with the caseworker, but I feel like she will agree with me that these kids do need to be together. Based on some concerns that we've had in the past year, I do not feel like throwing a new person into the equation at this time will be in anybody's best interest, parents, children, anyone. The name Amy Hyson, I may have heard it in the beginning of the case. That's the first I've heard it since then. There's nothing that the Joneses have done that has caused the state any problems to my knowledge. So if there is a change in placement, the state would not be in opposition to that going to Miss Jones. Further than that, that's as far as I would speak. I did not receive, however, on the second portion of this, I believe child support was something that was going to be discussed. I did not receive any check stubs, and I don't know whether the caseworker has received any or not either. So that's something that would be discussed afterwards. So not opposed to a change in placement if the placement is going with the Joneses, but throwing a new name in the mix, I don't think that would be in the best interest of any of the children or the parents or the current placements.
In your honor, we just received the pay stubs, so we have them.
All right. So I believe I actually set that for a submission today, expecting an agreement and then for me to consider and sign today, perhaps during or at the conclusion of this hearing. So with that, let me get everyone who may testify to raise your right hands to be sworn. And I trust you know who you are, certainly CASA and the network and the parents and the placements. If you'll raise your right hands at this time, let me swear everyone in. All right, do you all swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Yes. All right, yes? Okay, that appears, thank you. That appears to be everyone. Mr. Burt, you may call me first. Thank you.
Yes, I'll call Jesselyn
Prior to that,
McMullen.
may I ask for a point of order, or is anybody here on behalf of the elders in the waiting room or anything like that?
That's a good question. I do not, I believe Mr. Elder is here. I don't see anyone presently in the waiting room.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Our court reporter, if you see anyone in the waiting room, just let me know. We can bring them in. All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. McMullins, you were sworn. You're unmuted. So, Mr. Burt, you may proceed.
Ms. Jesselyn, you're the caseworker, correct?
Yes.
Do you think it would be appropriate at this time to have the children change placements to somebody that has not been a part of this case from the beginning?
No, I do not.
Has Miss Jones cared for the children in a proficient manner, in a safe manner, in a caring manner, the children that she has custody of or placement of right now?
Yes.
Do you foresee a problem if the remaining children were taken out of the custody of the elders and placed with Miss Jones?
No.
Do you think that would alleviate some of the problems the children are currently having in changing from back and forth?
Yes.
Do you think it would be in the best interest of all the children to be together?
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you could shed light on as far as the court's concerned in making a decision to grant placement to the Joneses? As far as concerns, what concerns have you seen that
I
would
don't have
grant?
any. I'm sorry. I don't have any
Oh.
concerns with Miss Jones. I know that there has been several intakes called in on Miss Jones. They have all been investigated. They have all been ruled out. So the agency does not have any concerns with the children being placed in Miss Jones' home.
All right. Why do you think right now is a time for a change in placement?
Because we are in the 10th month of this case, and the children, the 4 younger children, are still having a very hard time with the transition from one place to another.
Is that causing prolonged problems?
Yes.
And as you stated earlier, that would alleviate those problems, in your opinion. All right. Do you believe, I guess we're going to have an agreement as far as child support. Did you receive any check stubs?
I did not.
Okay. So to sum it up, you believe a placement with the Joneses would be acceptable, and any other names thrown out would not be acceptable?
Correct.
I'd pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Agbadi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bonis, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Have you received any form of message from the elders or from my client that the children don't want to, the children with the elders don't want to go to the Jones house?
No.
Okay. Like you saying, my clients never forwarded you a message indicating that?
No.
When was the last time you spoke to the elders?
After our last court hearing, I spoke to Mrs. Elder.
So, I mean, in the last court hearing, we discussed, remember we discussed, like coming back here, we knew we were going to have a hearing today, right, regarding placement.
Correct.
Right, so did you discuss with the elders whether those children want to be placed with the Jones?
I did not.
Okay. So, have you had any discussions with the elders regarding whether, not from last week, just ever, whether or not the children want to stay with them or they want to be removed?
No, I have not.
Okay. So the idea of placing these children with the Jones without talking to the current placement, where is that coming from? In terms, like from you, where did you get the idea that it would be in their best interest to place them with the Jones?
I have had conversations. I know when the conversation came up that I had with the elders regarding Miss Jones going down to only one visit a month, the elders were upset about that. If the children should not be going over there, I don't think that they would have been upset that they were only going to be going over there once a month.
Okay. MG, I think they did, one of the children, MG, have you been told by either the parent or?
I apologize. Could we have clarification? We have 2 of them.
Since I don't know. So MIG, would that help? I'm not trying to say the name.
I understand. I understand.
Okay. MIRG, would that work?
Not sure their middle names, so maybe MG younger or MG older.
Okay. Well, I'm still trying to remember I just get on this case, 6 children, so I don't know the order.
Is it the MG that's currently?
MIR. First name starts with MIR. You know that.
Okay, so that would be Ms. Bythewood's client.
Okay. I guess, so that's that MG. Were you aware that MG last month had a busted lip when they were at the Jones house?
We need some clarification, Your Honor, because he's not talking about my client.
Right. Okay. So the youngest MG is placed with the elders, and the oldest MG is placed with Ms. Jones.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the youngest MG when they visited the Jones house. That child suffered a busted lip. So I'm just asking if you were aware of it.
I was aware of it, and it was looked into. I don't remember the exact situation because I've had intake since then, but I am aware of that situation.
Okay. And then, e.g., when they visited Miss Jones' house, were you aware that they suffered like some illness that they had to be hospitalized, like e.g.?
She had to be hospitalized?
Yes.
No, I know of a situation where she was sick and was seen at the emergency room, but was not admitted and hospitalized.
I may have misspoke. Maybe I used them interchangeably. But you were aware that they needed to basically bring in, like, had to go to an emergency room.
Yes, because she was sick.
Okay. And were you also aware? Sorry.
Mr. Buddy, if we can get a time frame for the busted lip and the sickness that took the youngest to the ER.
Okay. I will react you on. So the busted lips that I was referring to for MG that visited the Jones house, that was from last month. I don't know the exact dates since I don't do the visitation, but I'm just saying, were you aware that that was last month, September?
I'm not sure the exact date. I couldn't tell you. I can't remember if it was last month or if it was August.
Okay.
Because I don't recall that happening after school had started, and they started in August.
Okay. And then I apologize if I'm misleading the court. I'll have my client clarify, okay? And then were you aware sorry, I don't know if someone said something. Were you aware that that same MG, the one we're talking about, when they visited the Jones house, they actually swallowed a coin?
No, I was not aware of that.
Okay. Okay. So if these things turn out to be true or based on whatever standard we use, do you still recommend that this MG still be placed with the Jones?
Yes, because she has never made an outcry of abuse or neglect at Miss Jones' home.
That's all the question I have for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kayla and then Mr. Crocker and so on.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Mullins, can you tell the court why Ms. Jones reduced the visits to once a month?
Because there continues to be reports that are called in on her, and when looked into are false. So there are false allegations being called in that they're doing things to the children. And once they're looked into, the children never make an outcry. Everything is denied. And
Isn't it true that since day one of when the children were separated and the four youngest children went to the elders, isn't it true that every single time the children came to visit the Joneses, someone made a report that the children were being abused or neglected?
correct.
Every single visit. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you even estimate how many reports have been how many allegations have been made against the Joneses since this case began?
No.
Pages and pages and pages of intakes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Probably 50 times?
Give or take.
At least 40 times?
I'm not sure on the exact number,
Okay,
but
that's
it's been a lot.
Every time the kids went to the Joneses, somebody called and somebody called CPS, correct?
Correct. And if it wasn't one person, it was two people.
Okay. And every time you're obligated to investigate that, correct?
Yes.
And every time you did,
Yes.
and y'all didn't find anything wrong.
No.
And you feel like it would be in these children's best interest to be with the Joneses.
Yes.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Ma'am, have the elders offered to take all of the children under the same roof?
Yes.
Okay. And when was that offer made?
Um, this was back in August.
Of 24?
Yes.
And what did the department do in investigating that request?
Um, I had a conversation with the older two children, and they don't want to be anywhere but with Miss Jones.
So short of the children's desires, is there anything physically wrong with the elder household?
No.
Is there anything that is of concern regarding any of the elders individually as people?
No.
The issues that have been brought up regarding the busted lip, the ER visit, and the swallowed coin, is that part of the 40 plus call-ins that have been made?
No.
Has the department been made aware of those issues other than today?
Yes.
Okay. Have those been verified?
The busted lip and Ella being sick, yes.
The illness that resulted in a trip to the hospital, but not an admission.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything about those two incidences that concerns the department?
No.
Okay. It was proven that a child had swallowed a coin. Would that be a concern to the department?
I was never made aware of that.
Okay.
From either household.
Either elders or Jones, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware of any dynamics regarding the parents and their choice between elders or Jones?
I'm not sure.
Well, sorry, it's probably a poorly asked question. Either you are aware or you aren't.
I'm not really understanding how to answer that. If there's like problems between them, or
Let me ask it a different way. Do you know whether the parents of these children have a preference of the children going with one party or the other?
yes.
And not party, one group of people or the other. Only one person's a part. One group is a party here.
Yes.
Okay. What is your understanding of the parents' position?
They would like the children to be placed with the elders.
Do you know why?
No.
Okay. Concerns, or what concerns have been made to you regarding the Joneses by the parents?
That there is abuse and neglect that occurs in the home.
Okay. And is that part of the 40 some odd calls that have gone to the department since the beginning of this case?
Yes.
All of them investigated, vetted, and determined to not have occurred?
Yes. These were actually being investigated by a special investigator.
Do each one of these have to result in a letter sent to the parents regarding the allegations, unable to determine reason to believe, etc.?
I'm not sure. I don't work investigations.
Fair enough. That's a better question for someone else.
Correct.
Does it give pause to have all the children under one roof, regardless of which roof it is?
You cut out at the beginning of the question. Can you repeat it?
I can. Does it give you any pause to have all the children placed under one roof, whichever roof it may be?
I do believe the children should be together.
Do you have concerns about all the children being in one home over the other?
I would not want to move the older two, as that is not what they want, and they are progressing well with Miss Jones.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whitewood.
How long have you been on this case?
Since May.
All right. And since May, how many times have the parents reached out to you regarding concerns of their children visiting with the Jones?
They actually never reached out to me. The only way I knew was by the intakes that were being called in. I make sure to ask them every month if they have any concerns for any of their children, and their answer is always no.
Okay. Do they have your contact information?
Yes,
And they received that when you got the case in May?
correct.
And they have never reported to you any kind of concerns regarding their children visiting the Joneses?
No.
Does that make any sense to you?
It does not.
Regarding the children's injuries, what are the ages of the children?
1, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 10.
And so we're looking at the 1 to 6-year-old about moving. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how did the busted lip come about?
It was actually a daycare incident.
Oh, so was the daycare called on?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's a licensed daycare. Shouldn't they have been?
Yes.
Okay, well, whether they did anything wrong or not, it was an injury that occurred there. Okay, so busted lip is daycare. The coin that was eaten. Again, was that confirmed or not?
I have never been made aware of that situation.
Okay, wouldn't that be a good idea for them to tell their caseworker you that this is going on?
Correct.
Okay. Any other incidents that you've been made aware of through investigations?
Besides the intakes, no.
Well, that's what I mean specifically, the intakes. What do the intakes consist of?
The children being locked in closets, the children being molested, the children being beaten, the children not being watched, the children having marks on them. And some of them are repetitive. They call in the same information.
And because of all these numerous intakes, this is going to special investigations. This is not the investigation unit that covers Newton and Jasper County.
Correct.
And do you know where these special investigators are from?
Tyler.
Okay, so they're not even from our region. That's Region 4, right?
Correct.
So these are people who are totally outside of us. And I know that you don't know what the dispositions are, but have they contacted you about their concerns, the special investigators?
We have concerns that there's numerous intakes being called in constantly. There are no concerns as far as the home.
So their concern is that the system's being abused?
Correct.
Is there any legal action being taken against people who are abusing the system?
I'm not sure.
Ma'am, were you aware that the very first person that the father reached out to help with the oldest child was his mother?
Correct.
And that when he couldn't get a hold of her, he called his sister?
Yes.
And they had packed up all the oldest's belongings and they were literally giving this child?
Yes.
So the person that they reached out to for help for the first time is now the person that they're condemning? Make any sense to you?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. Pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hoyer.
Ms. Mullins, I think you said it. My client is exactly where she wants to be and needs to be, right?
Correct.
Do you know her position on all her siblings coming to live there?
They are really close. She loves her siblings, and the younger siblings love her and the older MG. So I think they all want to be together and have been since day one.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Mr. Burt.
Jocelyn, you've reviewed the entire case file, is that correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that the state could not technically agree with placement with the elders,
Yes.
and that it would have to be court ordered for them to be with the elders? Is that correct? Do you remember why?
Because of a background check.
All right. But the state did not agree to that placement, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'd pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. McMullins?
Just a few follow-up from me, Your Honor. How many, may I continue, Your Honor?
You may, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. How many bedrooms if you are aware, if you know, do they have in the Jones house for the children?
I couldn't say off the top of my head. I've been in all of them. I just don't remember.
Okay. What about in the elders' home? Do you know how many bedrooms will be available for all 6 children? I mean, for the children.
I think they have a 3-bedroom, but I'm not sure. I think it's 3 rooms.
That's all I have for regarding placement.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. McMullins?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Ms. McMullins, specifically, it was a background check on Mr. Elder. Is that correct?
Correct.
Miss Elder actually works for the department, doesn't she? Okay, so she's.
And I didn't, Ms. McMullins, I didn't get the answer.
Yes, she works for the department. Sorry.
So there's nothing bad about her background, is there?
No.
And Mr. Elder, what was in his background, it was just a bar for placement, but it wasn't anything that happened recently, and it's nothing that involves harming children. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. McMullins? All right, thank you. You can go back to mute, Ms. McMullins, thank you. Mr. Burt, you may call your next, if any.
I'd pass at this time, Your Honor. I have no further witnesses.
All right, thank you. Mr. Agbaidi, do you want to call the witness now, or do you want to defer?
I would like to call them now, so it's not that we're discussing it.
Very good, very good. You may.
I'll call Precious Gaston.
All right. Ms. Gatson, you were sworn. We'll get you unmuted.
All right. Ms. Gaston, if you don't mind, unmute yourself.
Okay, there we go.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right. And you know why we're here, right?
And I'm sorry, Mr. Agbaidi, we might need to get Mr. Gatson to turn his volume down.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let's try it again, Miss Gasson. Are you okay?
Yes,
Okay. You know why we're here today, right?
yes,
Is to discuss placements for all children. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Just briefly, do you have any opinion as to where your children should be placed?
You said, do I have an opinion?
Yes.
I feel like I should.
Okay, go ahead. So what is that? What do you want, tell this judge where you want your children to be placed?
I feel like that. I also feel like they all should be together, but not in the placements that they're choosing. If they feel like the elders are not fit, I have an aunt that has been willing to get the kids since the beginning. But if that's not considered, I would rather them be where they are with the elders.
Okay. Let's quickly discuss the others. So why do you prefer the others to the Jones?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Why do you prefer for your children to be with the others instead of the Jones?
Because I feel like they're safer.
Okay. And do you know how many bedrooms is available for the children at the others home?
I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4. I think
Okay.
it's 4.
What about the Jones home? Do you know how many bedrooms they have there?
It's 3.
Okay. And you were here earlier when we discussed the issues that you have regarding the children, like but sometimes that they have visited the Jones home. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you heard about the busted lips for MJ, one of the MJs that doesn't live, who doesn't live with the others. Who doesn't live with the Jones, right?
Yes.
So do you remember when that busted lip incident happened?
If it wasn't last month, that means it was right before school started, I believe, in August, early August.
Okay. And what was your concern about that?
She arrived at the pickup with the busted lip. And they stated that it happened from Paul, not daycare. It was not at the daycare. It was on a Sunday. They don't attend daycare on Sundays.
Okay. And we EG also, are you aware of, is there any concerns you have regarding EG?
Well, Ella, well, I'm sorry, I couldn't say the name. EG, she was also picked up upon arrival and had to be taken to the hospital with a very high fever, and her breathing she was not breathing correctly, and that's why she was taken to the hospital.
Okay. Any concerns regarding issues with eyes in the last 2 months?
I was told that she had a swollen eye, and no one made me aware of the situation. It was told to me about her eye being swollen, and also the ant bites that she had. It was over 20 ant bites on her hand.
When was that? When did you observe the ant bites you're talking about?
I believe it was about a month ago also, if not August.
Okay. And then we issued the issue of a coin being swallowed by MG. When did that happen?
That was, I believe, at the September, probably 3 weeks ago at the latest. She arrived also at the pickup crying, saying that she swallowed a coin, and Mrs. Jones said it was not true, but Mr. Paul Jones recommended that Mariana would be taken to a hospital because he's not sure exactly if it happened or not.
Okay. But was the child ever taken to the hospital by
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And is that a concern to you?
Yes.
Okay. And just to be sure, you said you rather they stay where they are rather than to move them to the Jones. Is that correct?
Yes, I would rather them be where they are if they can't consider any other placement. If they can't consider any ISOM, then I would rather them be where they are.
Okay. What is your relationship with Amy Hudson?
She's my aunt, and she's also my kid's great aunt.
Okay. And have they spent any time with Amy Hudson before this case started?
Yes, we attend family gatherings together.
So they know her?
Yes.
And in Amy Hudson, does she reside with someone else?
No, she stays alone.
Okay. Do you know how many bedrooms that she has available at her house?
I think she has 4 bedrooms.
Okay. Just based on your knowledge about Amy Eisen, does she have any felony or CPS history? Negative CPS history?
No, she does not.
Okay. Do you believe she's willing and able and qualified to be a placement for your children?
Yes.
Are you asking this judge to order CPS to look into her whether she qualifies as a placement?
Yes, if it can be considered, yes.
Okay. Any other concerns that you have that we have not discussed?
Just in general, I feel like the kids are not safe, and the kids are there's constantly things wrong, whether it's reported or not. When I get the information, I do report it, but most of the time this goes on between the elders and the Joneses. I don't know what's being reported, and I don't know what statements are being made. I know I'm told, and I know what I report. So when I get the information that I have, I get it directly from a source. I don't make up stories about what's happened to my kids or why I'm concerned. If the kids are constantly sick and hurt, then I feel like it's a concern that how can you be able to watch all 6?
Question, almost there, just a few more. Sorry, I don't want to lose my thought. You heard when we asked the caseworker regarding whether or not she was aware, whether or not she had received any message regarding the children desire not to go with the Jones, and she said no. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you brought to her knowledge in the last few months that the children don't want to live with the Jones?
Have I brought to her knowledge?
Or anyone that you are aware of brought to her knowledge?
I believe someone has brought to her knowledge that it didn't come from me, but I'm sure it's been brought to her.
Like, what can you tell the judge? Like, where is the information? What information are you relying on to tell the judge that the 4 other children don't want to be placed with the Jones?
It was stated that my son was not want to go to the Joneses' house by text.
Has that text been forwarded to the caseworker or any CPS agent?
The caseworker.
Okay. And do you remember around what time that text would have been forwarded to the caseworker?
I believe late September.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to object. I hate to, because we need to speed this along, but all of this is hearsay, and I would object to that. Object to her testimony. It's based on hearsay.
All right. Whom was the text from, Ms. Gatson?
The text was between Mr. Elder and the caseworker, Ms. Jesslyn, where he texted her and let her know that DG did not want to go to Joneses.
Wait. Sorry. Your Honor, I didn't get you.
The objection is sustained. Next question.
Okay. That's all the question I have, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kayla.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Gadsden, how many times have you called in and reported the Joneses to CPS?
I'm not sure, but I'm definitely sure it was not 40.
Okay. Can you give us a ballpark?
I do not know. I can probably count it on both hands, probably at least 5 to 6 times.
Okay. And this is information that you get directly from a source. I believe that was your testimony earlier, correct?
Yes.
So
or if the kids say something to me directly.
Okay. Well, the only time you see the kids directly is at your supervised visitations, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it's easy to say that the majority of the times that you've called CPS on the Joneses, that you were doing so based on information that someone else relayed to you.
No, that is not true.
Okay. Now I'm confused because you said you get your information directly from a source.
I get my information from the children, or I get the information from whoever's dealing with the children. directly
Okay.
that are at the pickups when this stuff is happening.
So the department is there at the pickup as well, correct?
No,
Tell me how the pickups go.
the pickups between the Elders and the Joneses, and also my sister that goes along with Mr. Elder. There is no caseworker at that scene at all. So if anything comes from anyone, it's going to come from the Elders or the Joneses. The case, it will be hearsay, basically. If someone goes to tell the caseworker something, that would be the same thing if they come tell me something.
Okay. So since this case began, you have called CPS 5 or 6 times is what your testimony is, correct?
I believe so. I do not count, but I believe so.
So the other 40 or so times would have been either your husband or the elders, correct?
No, I don't know who the people are. I'm not aware of who reports everything. I don't know.
Prior to this case beginning, how often were your children at the Joneses' house?
Not often.
How often did you see the Joneses interact with your children?
Not often.
Then why was it that when this situation arose, your husband, his mother was Mrs. Jones, was the first person that he called to have help with the children?
That's a question for Mr. Gatson.
Okay, I'll ask him. I'll pass the witness.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Crocker.
And with respect to the incidents of neglect at the Jones household, did you report the busted lip?
Did I report it? I believe that the Elders reported it. I'm not sure who reported it.
Did you report the ER visit?
I did.
Okay. And did you report the swallowed coin?
I'm not sure who reported that.
Okay. And what about the ant bites on the hand?
I didn't report the invite.
Did you hear the CPS worker's testimony when she said every allegation of abuse or neglect up to this point have been investigated and ruled out?
Yes, I did hear.
Do you disagree with that?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bythewood.
Ma'am, isn't it true that the only allegation of abuse and neglect that has been confirmed was against you and your husband?
I'm not aware.
Okay. And you said that there wasn't a whole lot of interaction between the Joneses and y'all. Didn't y'all have a birthday visit for Mrs. Jones' birthday where y'all spent a weekend together with her right before this case started?
No, I did not spend a weekend with Mrs. Jones for her birthday.
Okay. What about a birthday party, a family get together?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know that was considered spending a lot of time with her.
You testified that if the kids are constantly sick, how can they take care of 6 of them? Who are you referring to? You said they, but
If I'm in disagreement with the kids going to the Joneses, and a lot of the times when the kids are sick or getting these sicknesses, it's from the Joneses home.
all right. But don't they just spend 1 weekend a month there? Aren't they spending the rest of the month with the
I'm
elders?
not sure how many weekends they spend with the Joneses because that I'm not told that. But what I do know, they are always sick, and this has been going on since December. The kids have been sick since December with ear infections and different things. They have not been. It's never been.
Since they've been placed with the elders.
No, since they've been placed with the Joneses.
They're not placed with the Joneses, they're placed with the elders.
As I stated, the kids come from the Joneses' house sick with fevers constantly.
Okay, constantly, the 1 weekend a month, but who's telling you this?
As I stated, my sister goes to the drop-offs with Mr. Elder, and she is able to observe the kids and see the kids, and also see if how they're acting, if anything's wrong. She's there, and when visits, I also see this stuff.
Okay, so your sister's telling you this, you're seeing this in visits. Who else is telling you this?
I just stated.
So just your sister.
Yes, I don't have no contact with Mr. Elder.
Except when you provide things for your children, right? Because y'all have been
And I
doing.
still have no direct contact to Mr. Elder. He lets my mother know, or my sister knows, or even the caseworker, whoever it may be, what is needed for the children, and we get whatever is needed.
Okay, how do you facilitate that?
It is given to my sister, and she can take it over because she has visitation with the kids. So she takes it over, or if she can't do it, the caseworker.
Okay, and Ms. Gatson, this isn't a gotcha, just wondering how you were facilitating getting the items to Mr. and Miss Elder, because there's nothing out there that says that you can't see Mr. and Miss Elder, right?
Far as I know, it says we cannot contact with the elders, so we avoid the elders because we were told we can't have any communication with them, so we don't meet or do anything with them.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. I'll pass you as a witness.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Hollier.
Thank you. Precious, you said that you're not sure why Mr. Gatson reached out to his mother when this incident first occurred. Isn't it true that you drove your child, my client, to the drop-off point so that she could go to Mrs. Jones?
I drove my child to Mrs. Destiny Gatson, which stated that she was taking the lead. She was supposed to go with Mrs. Destiny Gatson. Destiny decided that she was not taking the lead
Objection
with her. Was taking her
non-responsive
to
after Destiny Gatson.
Sustained.
And isn't it true, Precious, that the difference between your children before and after your younger ones started going to daycare, didn't they?
my younger kids were already in Head Start.
Right, but they started daycare. The elders used daycare when they got placed with them, correct?
I think that was already in placement with the Joneses. That was already going.
Okay, and do you understand? It's my understanding you've had some parenting classes. Haven't you learned that kids start getting sick at your kids'
We don't
age?
discuss
They're
daycare.
objection, non-responsive. Let me finish my question, Precious. That kids start getting sick around that age when they're put in daycare. Ear infections, fevers. You don't know anything about that in child development?
We don't discuss daycare in parenting.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Burt.
I said that.
Ms. Gatson, you are in agreement that it is in your children's best interest to all be together, correct?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to admonish the parents, the Gatsons, while one of you is on the stand, don't assist or don't even communicate with the other. Are we clear?
Yes.
Don't do that again. All right. Any other questions of Ms. Gatson from anyone?
I just have one quick question, Your Honor, if I may.
Right. Mm-hmm. You may.
Ms. Gatson, who told you that you could not communicate with the elders at all?
Our caseworker.
Your caseworker told you that you couldn't communicate with the Gatsons. I mean, the
She told us
elders.
we couldn't communicate with the elders. She said it was part of the plan. our family plan, that we couldn't have any communication.
Okay. That wasn't a condition of your bond, was it?
No, it's been since the kids have been placed with the elders.
Okay. Are there any conditions on your bond?
Not that I'm aware of, besides staying out of trouble.
Okay. And I apologize. I haven't seen the indictment or the bond paperwork, but a lot of times when someone is indicted for injury to a child, there'll be a condition on that bond that they're not to have any contact with the alleged victim in the case. Do you know if that's a condition of your bond?
No.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Mr. Agbaidi?
Yeah, just a few questions. So Ms. Hollier asked you a question, Ms. Garson, regarding, isn't it true that you drove your child to the Jones and then you were trying to clarify? Can you tell the court, like, do you remember that question that you were trying to answer?
Yes, I drove my child to the store. It's not far from my house, to Destiny Gadsden.
Okay. Did you drive your child to the Jones house?
No,
Who did you give your child to?
Destiny Gadsden.
Okay. Regarding sickness and daycare, do you even know where they go to daycare?
I'm aware that it's in Newton.
Okay. And are you aware of other children that go into that daycare getting sick at the rate your children are getting sick?
No, I'm not.
All right. No further questions.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Gatson?
Yes, Your Honor, just to follow up on his question, the end result was for the oldest child to go to Miss Jones when you gave her to Destiny. Is that correct?
No,
So if your testimony is different than what it was at the adversary, which one is true, this one or that one?
Destiny Gadsden stated she was going to take Aaliyah home with her because she wasn't even sure if her mother was home.
But eventually you wanted the child with her grandmother, Miss Jones, didn't you?
I wanted the child safe, and I wanted Destiny to be able to talk to Aaliyah. That's what I wanted.
What you wanted was the child out of your home. Is that correct?
No.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Gatson? Anyone? All right, Mr. Agbaidi, you may call your next, if any.
So, sorry, what was that for me, Yana?
Yes, you may call your next.
I'm terribly sorry. I thought, yeah. I'll call Mr. Garson, Yana.
All right, Mr. Gatson, there we go. You may proceed.
All right. Mr. Garson, you've heard the testimony provided so far by Ms. Mullins and also by your wife. Is that correct?
Correct.
So as we speak right now, do you have any concern regarding the current placement for any of your children?
Yes, I have all concerns that dated back to December with the Joneses.
Okay.
I have,
Just a minute. Do you have concerns regarding the placement of the 4 children in the elders' home?
no.
Okay. So you said the Jones. Can you tell the court, without narrating, what specific concerns you have regarding placement with the Jones?
The current placement with the Joneses has been a concern since December. And just because it's ruled out, it still concerns with me because my kids told me stuff and are currently telling me stuff that's been taking place, even though they're claiming an investigation is taking place. I'm concerned that my kids are sick every week, coming from the Joneses with fevers. My kids have always been a head start around other kids, multiple years, from Aaliyah down to Gracie. We've never had kids sick this much. We never had injuries of this magnitude. And the main concern I have is how everything that's been said has been lies, and I haven't had chance to tell the truth about everything that's been stated.
All right. So regarding the concerns you have you personally called CPS? I mean, have you called to make a report regarding some of those concerns you've had?
Yes, reached out to the caseworker, Jesslyn, as soon as she was here in May, and the first thing she told me was everything's ruled out.
Okay. But that's to the caseworker, but have you called like the 1-800 number for abuse hotline? Have you done that?
Yes, I have done that.
And then when you did that, was that because you were concerned, or was it because you wanted to abuse the system?
I was concerned every time I called. I never intended to abuse the system, and I never did abuse the system.
Okay. And when you visit your children, you guys interact, right?
Yes, we interact.
All right. From your understanding, do they want to be with the Jones?
No, my understanding, they do not want to be with the Joneses. And I know Miracle does not want to be with the Joneses, no matter what anyone is saying. I have that audio recorded and video recorded.
Okay, just a minute. Don't forget, we're trying to protect your names. This is being protected.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, use the MG, right? You can explain the story, and I just wanted to say that. All right. So, have you related this information personally to the caseworker?
Yes.
In what forms? How did you do it?
We have home visits, and I've told her numerous of times. And the last visit, even though the family plan said the kids haven't been to the visit, the kids were at the visit 3 times before we hired attorneys. And the caseworker, Jesslyn, was at that last visit. And she's seen Miracle and Aaliyah, even though they have in the family plan that Aaliyah and Miracle refused to come to visits. She was in the last visit and seen that the kids had a fever before the kids went to the elder's house, because she brought the thermometer to the kids back in December.
Okay. And when we testified earlier, I'm sorry, not me, not we, when your wife testified earlier, and also the questions asked of the caseworker regarding the busted lip for MG, swallowing, a coin being swallowed, and your wife also testified about 40 hand bites. Do you share those same concerns?
Yes, that's very concerning.
Okay. So what, in terms of placement, what are you asking this judge to do for placement today?
I'm asking him to remove the oldest 2 kids from out of the Joneses' house, because I never intended them to be there. Those children were placed in the house with sexual and physical abuse allegations, and it was not investigated. My kids were taken directly from me to that house, and no one talked to or questioned my kids. They were placed in the house with allegations. Okay.
And if the judge was to remove the 2 with the...
Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting, but if the children's names aren't going to be controlled and the testimony is going to discuss that type of intimate abuse, I would ask that we go off YouTube.
I'll wait for the judge. You're not wait for you to make a ruling. Okay.
Right. So the court will take that under advisement. Guard the names. Use only initials.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, I know you talk a little bit fast, and then that may make you kind of, don't forget initials. Sorry, Your Honor, that I have to say that. Okay, now let me destroy my phone. So, if the judge is inclined to play the children with the only 2 names we have right now, which is the Elders and the Jones, what is your preference?
My preference is the elders, and only the elders.
Okay. And then we brought up the name Amy Hyson. Right? Who is that person to you?
That's my aunt through marriage.
Okay. And your wife testified that the children have spent some time with Amy Hyson. Have you, is that true?
Yes.
Were you aware or not that in the beginning of the case, whether her name was brought up for possible placement at that time?
Yes, her name was brought up, and her name was at the top of the list.
Okay. But you don't know any reason why she's not one of the placement, right?
They never gave us the opportunity to place our kids where we wanted them to be at.
Okay.
They were already displaced with the Joneses.
Okay. So now that you're talking to the judge, it's up to the judge now. Are you asking this judge to at least other CPS to look into the Amy Hyson as a possible placement?
Yes, please.
All right. Any other concerns you have without narrating that I have not, that you have not, that this judge is not aware of? Briefly, if you want to tell the court.
My main concern is getting my kids back on track in a safe environment.
Okay. And then one last question for you, since it came up. You actually sent me your pay stub because I reminded you today around 12 o'clock. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure. Thank you. That's all the question you had.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kayla.
The pay stub that you sent your lawyer was not the pay stub that we discussed at the last hearing. Is that correct?
That's incorrect. That is the same pay stub. It has 108 hours. If you look at the very bottom, and if you look at the top where it says pay rate, it's 33.08 or 33.80.
I see the 3380, but I can't see anything about the number of hours worked because this thing is heavily redacted. It's all redacted. Why is this pay stub redacted?
I told you the hours is at the very bottom. It says 108 hours. If you look at the very bottom.
I'm trying to look at it. It's very, very small.
I'd object
Yes.
to non-responsive. He asked why it was redacted and that question was not answered.
Can you elaborate on what redactive or redactive, whatever that word is, means?
Well, it appears that either a sticky note or some whiteout or something was used to make it to where we can't see the rate, the number of hours worked, the year-to-date earnings. There is no 108 hours on here. I cannot find it. It's redacted. There's information that
No.
you didn't want us to see.
No, the hours rate is on there, 108. That's what you asked for. You asked for the rate of pay, and that's what I send you. And I made it very easy where you can only see those numbers. My employee numbers on there, the payoff rate at the very top.
Mhm.
And if you go to the very bottom, the hours that you asked for is on there. 108 at the very bottom on the left-hand side.
No, sir. I don't see it. Why would you redact all the other information from your pay stub as far as like the cost of insurance, whether or not you pay union dues? That stuff is important in calculating child support. Why would you redact that information?
When I talked to you, you said you needed to see the hour that I worked and the pay rate. That's what I sent you.
I'm going to object to non-responsive, Your Honor. Actually, I can rephrase the question.
Right, all right.
You recall at the last hearing where I asked you to send your pay stub to your lawyer so that we would have your pay stub to be able to calculate child support, correct?
I sent you the pay stub. I sent the pay stub to my lawyer.
Do you recall your testimony at the last hearing where you said that you were going to send your pay stub to your lawyer?
I sent my pay stub to my lawyer, and I recall that.
Okay. Why did you wait until today at noon to send it to your lawyer?
My lawyer told me that he wanted me to scan the pay stub in.
Don't tell us what your lawyer told you.
Well, he asked a question. I'm trying to understand exactly how I'm supposed to answer.
Don't argue with me. What you talk to your attorney about is confidential.
I don't mind if I can just maybe help him understand, if you don't mind. Right?
You may.
All right, Mr. Garson, whatever you and I discuss is attorney-client privilege. So nobody on this earth can make you discuss it. So this judge is actually protecting your right. So you can answer that question without telling me what in another way, right? Without discussing, so they don't reveal you are protected. He's trying to protect you. So proceed. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it for any confusion. I was just basically trying to say why I didn't send it over until today. I had to work, and the only day I had off was Monday. And then when I went to the library in Cabreville, it was closed. So that's how I was going to originally send it. And I had to work every other day. This is my time off now because of the court hearing.
All right. All right. Wait for the next question, if any. Go ahead, Mr. Kayla.
Thank you, Your Honor. I can't see it on this pay stub, the number of hours worked. You testified at the last hearing that it was for 108 hours. Is that typical? Is that your typical amount of hours per paycheck?
No.
Okay. What if that's the case, then why did you redact the year to date information on the as far as number of hours worked? Why did you redact any of the information on the pay stub?
Okay, again, and I'm not trying to be difficult. You asked for the pay rate and you asked for the total number of hours I worked. That's what I sent you with the pay stub. I didn't know that you needed all my other personal information.
Well, the other personal information, sir, is important in calculating child support. I asked you for your pay rate and the hours you worked so I could do some quick and dirty math while we were during the last hearing because you had failed to produce your pay stub to us or anyone.
All right, Mr. Gatson, do you have the pay stub in the room there with you?
In
I have
your
to,
pay stub I have has the hours on it. I've done the dirty math, but I have the 108 hours, Your Honor. I just don't have the year to date.
Okay, well, the court has heard some evidence that may not be typical. So, Mr. Gatson, send this to your attorney whenever you're passed as a witness, even if it means taking a picture of it from your phone, sending it to, sharing it with your attorney. We'll take it from there. All right. So let's return to the issue at hand, which is the placement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Why did you have your daughter taken to Miss Jones back in December when all of this started?
okay, I can tell you, but it's going to be a conversation that Ms. Byford might not want on YouTube Live. Do you want me to go ahead and proceed with why I contacted them and the details?
Mr. Kayla, I don't believe the court needs to hear this. I recall the testimony from the multi-day adversary hearing.
With that, Your Honor, I will pass the witness.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Sir, other than what your wife testified to today, do you have any other testimony with respect to placement?
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear the very end.
Yes, sir. Other than what your wife testified to today, do you have any other testimony with regard to placement, meaning about the topic of where these children go as a collective unit?
My only concern is for them to be safe with the people I put on the list and just to have them together.
Okay. And that's pretty much what your wife went over, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Pass the witness.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bytewood.
And I'm sorry if you already testified to this, but you said people you put on the list. Did you put Miss Amy on the child resource form?
He had the name that's a little different. It's Annie Isom, ANNIE. She had a background check done. Yes, she was on the list.
Okay, good. That's all I needed to know. I'll pass you, and it's HISON.
No, it's ISOM.
M as in
I as in igloo, S as in Sam, O as in octopus, M as in Melissa.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll pass you as a witness.
I don't have any questions, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And Mr. Gatson, the first name spelling is it AMM?
No, A as in apple, N as in needle, N as in needle, I as in igloo, E as in elephant.
All right. Annie Isom.
Yes, correct.
All right. Thank
It was
you.
it was on the paper that we returned in at the beginning of the year.
All right. Caregiver resource form. All right. Very good. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Byrd, to you.
Mr. Gadsden, you've heard testimony that your two oldest daughters have been progressing relatively well with their sessions and the environment they're in. Have you not?
I heard someone state that.
And as a father, you're willing to take them out of the environment that they're progressing in?
Sir, my kids were 8 honor roll students. Before they left my house, they were not getting in trouble. It was just a couple of things that Leah was doing that was very bothering and concerning, to why I reached out to the Joneses from the start, because I can figure out
I'm
why.
gonna object to him talking about my client by name.
I'm sorry about that. Just
The question
Mistake.
remains, are you willing to take two children out of the environment that they're growing in?
Aaliyah's making failing grades this year. I keep making that mistake.
And there's
I
no
apologize.
basis for those statements whatsoever.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
First question.
Excuse me.
I withdraw that last question. I have no further.
All right. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Agbadi.
Thank you, Yana. Just briefly, so I'll help you out. AG, you said AG is making failing grade this year. Can you tell the court how you knew about that?
We have online things that we can see, and as of this year and last year, she had failing grades. We have record of that.
Okay. So the 4 children living with the elders, are any of them making failing grades?
As far as I'm aware of, no.
Okay. So is that a concern for you that AG is failing this year?
Yes, a major concern.
So is that something you want the judge to consider a part of placement that you guys are requesting?
Yes.
That's all the question I have here.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Mr. Gadsden?
Just to clarify one point, Your Honor, if I may.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The failing grades that you're talking about are particular daily grades in certain subjects from time to time, correct?
From my understanding, from the I don't know exactly what the document is, but when progress reports come out, it was the average grade, and it has been actual individual worksheets or something of that nature.
So when you look at the progress report as a whole, she's on the AB honor roll. You understand that? As a whole, the grade in the progress report, she's got all A's and B's. Do you disagree with that?
No, I do not. I haven't seen the progress report. I just seen averages that's in the online thing. Aaliyah had A's. I'm so sorry. I keep saying her name. AG had A's when she was in my household. Straight A's. She had 1 B, if I'm not mistaken, the entire last average of the last year in my household. So where the progressing part, I'm not understanding, like you said, she's declined in my house. She had straight A's. And she had top reading for 3 years in a row in my house. She's never been under.
And she's still making good grades in school. She's still making A's and B's on her progress report, correct?
You're saying I don't know, because I haven't seen that. I can only see what's in the online thing as the average. It says it's the average, and this has individual grades. It doesn't have the actual progress report. It doesn't have the actual report card. It just says what's the average is when I look at it. Okay. I can't see those things. The address was changed, matter of fact.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Mr. Gadsden?
Not from me.
All right, thank you. Mr. Agbadi, you may call your next witness, if any.
Yes, Your Honor. Since I'm not too familiar with everybody, but I don't know if the elders are here or anybody from the elders home.
I believe that's Mr. Elder on the Galaxy Ultra. I believe. Is that you, Mr. Elder?
Yes, sir.
Right.
I'm here.
Thank you. Were you sworn, sir?
No, sir.
All right. If you'll raise your right hand to be sworn, please. Or are you
Yes, sir.
calling? Are you calling Mr. Elder? Mr.
Yes, Your
Elder?
Honor, I would like to call Mr. Elder.
All right. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help you God. Yes.
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Elder. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I didn't see your name in the screen, so I didn't know that was you. How many of the children, how many of the Garson's children are placed with you?
I have the 4 youngest children.
Okay. And how long have you had them?
We've had them since February of this year.
All right. And then since February of this year, I mean, when you guys interact, have you been able to form the opinion where they want to be?
Yes, I really don't. To be honest with you, I don't try not to talk to them about anything that's going on, unless it's something that's a prevalent need. But I have spoke with Junior, excuse me, DG has spoken with me out of the blue, telling me that he didn't want to go.
Objection here, say, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Okay. And no matter, without saying what the children said to you, but have you related any information to the caseworker or to my client about whether or not it would be ideal for the children to be with the Jones?
Yes, I made approximately maybe 3 weeks ago, I sent a text message to the caseworker, Miss Jesselyn, letting her know that DG didn't want to go to his grandparents' house on that particular day.
Okay, so was that for just that particular day? But
well,
I'll ask the next question. But based on what you know, DG and the other sibling living with you, are you of the opinion that they would prefer to be with the Jones as opposed to with you?
Oh no, I believe they would prefer to be with me and my wife.
Okay. And is your house able to continue to accommodate all 4 children the way you have them right now?
Yes.
Is your house able to accommodate 2 other children, the 2 that are with the Jones, should the court consider placing them with you?
Objection,
Yes.
Your Honor. I don't believe that that's on the table unless I'm mistaken.
It's
It's not sustained.
Okay. And in that case, that's all the question I have here.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kayla.
No questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Mr. Elder, do you believe all the children should be together?
Yes, sir. I do.
Thank you. Pass the witness. Thank you, Mr. Elder.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bythewood.
I have no questions.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hoyer. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Burt.
Your Honor, I'd just like to make a quick statement to Mr. Elder, a clarification of some of the questions I asked earlier concerning the state not being able to technically agree with placement. The state has nothing against you. We know anything that came up was a long time ago. Thank you for doing what you've done thus far.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. I thank you with that. Appreciate that very much.
That's it, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Ogbadi.
Yes, Your Honor, just kind of a clarification on this statement, because I knew she objected to it wasn't on the table. I believe it was, because from your last hearing, you had said regarding the issue of child support, like there will be a question mark on that issue. So I don't think the issue was whether it was only for the Jones, in which case it won't be a question mark. I'm not trying to mislead the judge, but I try to remember what was the last time. So I think the question before you last time was whether all the children would be together, but I don't think there was an issue. It wasn't only like we would consider them for the Jones. I think it was vice versa. It's only today that testimony came up that the older two don't want to go to the elders. So, but I still think that's an issue before you. I mean, I'm not trying to argue, but just want to understand.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. So because I stopped asking questions because of what you said, because I still think it's relevant for the record if the issue were not narrowed to just the Jones, but I think the issue were both of them. So I can finish my questions.
Let's see where we go.
Okay. So how often do they go, the children with you, Mr. Elders, how often do they see the Jones?
Children, the way it was set up, they go with the Jones every other weekend and every other Thursday. So the Jones have them approximately 6 days out of the month.
Okay. Is that the way it still is now, or is that the way it's always been?
No, sir, that's not the way it's always been.
What was it before?
When we first got them, the way we were doing it was every other Thursday, and we would pick them up from daycare. Well, and they would also, the Jones would get them from daycare on Friday, and we would pick them back up from daycare on Monday. Well, like I said, there was an instance that happened with the court at court, like I said, when I was on the stand the last time. And after that, Miss Jones asked if we could pick the kids up on Sunday afternoon at 5.
Okay, so it changed at some point, okay, by court order. And when even now, when they go to the Jones, any hesitation, whether, do you have any opinion whether or not they want to continue to have that visit?
Yeah, I believe they want to still have the girls. MG most definitely does. Like I said, they want to see their siblings.
Okay.
They want to see their siblings. Yeah.
And then when they come from the Jones back to your house, the 4, do you observe any desire, like something like they want to continue visitation with the Jones, or any desire that they want to be together? I think I lost him.
All right, I believe Mr. Elder, are you there? We lost his video. His device still seems to be there. Mr. Elder, can you hear us?